Hey guys, it's Oceana.everything, and I'm finally getting a chance to make this video talking about a breakdown of the costume that I recently just made for a recreation of the Blue Beetle superhero outfit. I had to give myself some time to be able to put this video together because I wanted to recuperate my senses from what happened this past Momocon visit, but let's just get into it. So this is what I was working on pretty much like a couple days before we actually went to the convention. This was my very first time working with LED lights, so here we see that we installed like a little light fixture on the opposite side of the mask. So keep in mind, like, this was my very first time working with EVA foam, anything to do with like LED lights, so I actually found this to be a really enjoyable experience. What I didn't end up liking about this was that when I actually got on stage, because I did enter this costume in a craftsmanship contest at Momocon, was that I couldn't see anything. Like, I literally had to have somebody hold my hand as I was walking on stage, because the minute that the lights were hitting my face, it was reflecting off of the hologram vinyl thing that you see right there. So wasn't the best to see out of, but I wanted to remain true to the costume that was in the movie. So for looks, I would give it a 10 out of 10. For usage, probably like a solid 2. This was another thing that I actually ended up putting together probably the morning before we left for the convention. I was very big on like the detail. I wanted to keep the scarab looking like as Beetle-like as possible. So what I ended up doing was cutting like separate individual panels and gluing them together. My mistake in doing this is that I didn't use like a solid, reliable glue. I was also in a type of a rush before we actually left because I had to coordinate exactly how we were going to get there since we were traveling by car, also managing time, and what I ended up just doing was like hot gluing all the pieces together with some random craft glue that I found, and this actually ended up backfiring on me, and I'll tell you why in a second. So this is actually day 1 of the convention. As you see, I went for my classic Violet Evergarden costume. This is me pictured with another Violet that I found at the con. And then here's me the same day where I found Benedict. So cute. And then here's me with another Violet. This day actually turned out pretty good. I felt comfortable. I was able to walk around freely and breathe. And then this happened. So this is actually the following day where I got to put on the full costume. And we were actually waiting in line to sign up for the Craftsmanship competition. The situation that happened here as we were waiting in line was that because I had left all of these items in a car in the Georgia heat, you can already put 2 and 2 together and see what's going on. Because of the fact that I had pretty much like rushed the last couple pieces that were on this costume, by the time that we actually got to the convention and I was actually putting it on after I got out of the car, pretty much like everything that you could possibly think of started falling apart. Like, I'm talking about the details on the shoes that you can see down below. I'm talking about the scarab pack on the back of it. Yeah, like all those different individual little pieces of the actual Beetle pack just started coming apart. It was one thing after another. I really just didn't know what to do with myself after a second. But the good thing about it is that I actually got some help. I was rescued by this thing. Yeah, I'm being serious. Like, this is a guy that was also performing in the craftsmanship competition, and he actually came to my rescue and helped glue different pieces back onto my costume together. And oh my gosh, like, I'm so grateful to him, like, to this day. This man was my hero, the guy behind the Furby costume. He actually also got some people from the Craftsman repair place to come over and provide aid to putting this costume back together, and I could never be more grateful for that. Thank you so much, John, the hero. So after we got everything situated, when like different pieces started falling apart, I actually got to go up on stage and perform, and that aspect of it was really good. But another factor that I did not take into consideration of when I was coming up with this costume was really just like how uncomfortable it was going to be. If there's one thing that I absolutely regret, it definitely would have been that instead of actually gluing these individual pieces on the bodysuit, what I should have done instead is added Velcro on the back to make it easy to take off those pieces, allowing myself to be able to slip in and out of the costume easily. There was a situation where we literally had to wait in line for hours for the prejudging for the craftsmanship competition, and then also because my handler that was traveling with me for this convention wanted to get an autograph by a voice actor, where we waited pretty much like 5 hours straight. And being in this costume, you can clearly tell that I cannot sit down in it easily. So what ended up happening was that I had to have my handler unzip these boots and then me take off my shoes so that I would be able to slightly comfortably be able to sit down and take a break. Like, I was losing like blood flow to my legs because I was locking my knees in this costume, and I wasn't able to like bend and actually relax with this chest plate in the way. So that was an excruciating moment. I definitely felt like I was stuck in a coffin being in this costume. But hey, you know, you learn with experience. I will say that in spite of everything, I'm very proud of myself that I got to work with something new, and the best part that I really like about this is the LED lights that I added to the chest plate. That was another thing I was trying to stay true to the original costume, is the usage of lights and mechanics that are in it. So I did not have access to LED lights. I actually just grabbed like the closest thing that was available to me, which were fairy lights at the time. I got them in blue, obviously, and the cool thing about these lights is that you had a remote that could control them, and you could change up like the pattern, like if you wanted them constantly flashing or if you wanted them like solid, like you could change it up. I kept the lights solid for the sake of the competition and for keeping the seriousness of the character, but I really liked that touch that I added. I'm also happy that I got a chance to work with magnets for the first time too. Like, the actual faceplate that I put on my mask was easily removable, and you could put it back on just in case you had to like breathe or like talk to somebody. Obviously, like I mentioned before, the thing that probably backfired was that I couldn't really see out of it, but that's not always going to be a case where like I'm going to have lights flashing right on my face on stage. I would also like to point out that the tendrils that I came up with for the Beetle pack and the ones that you find on the side too, that's what was actually, what's the term I'm looking for? Like, that's what was holding on to my body. So I didn't, originally, like, I had like a backpack designed and planned, and I wanted to have some kind of straps that like go over my shoulders so that they could stay in place. But what I did instead was that I found that the PVC piping that I used for the side tendrils hugged around my waist enough that it was able to hold on. It wasn't the best for when I was actually like walking around the convention, because I had to constantly be readjusting the tightness to be able to have it to stay on. But I think it did keep up with the theme, and it worked very well for the character's outfit, so I'm okay with it. If I did have to change something for next time, I probably would have added more support to the top so that I didn't have to constantly stop and readjust. Yeah, I did that, and overall, I'm really grateful that I got to give myself this experience to work with a new type of medium, but I'm definitely going to give myself a break before I gave myself a chance to work with this again. Yeah, that was a lot. Anyways, thanks for watching the process, and I hope to see you guys again in the future.